the singing donkey. Once upon a time, in the quiet town of Willowbrook, there was a small farm by a winding river. On that farm lived a donkey named Danny. He looked like any other donkey, long ears, shaggy brown fur, and big, kind eyes. But Danny had a secret. Danny could sing. Not just any singing, but the most beautiful voice anyone had ever heard. His voice was as smooth as honey and as warm as sunshine. When he sang, the birds stopped to listen. The cows swayed in rhythm, and even Whiskers, the grumpy old barn cat, would curl up and close his eyes, purring softly. But Danny never sang when people were around. He was afraid they would laugh at him. Each evening, when the sun dipped behind the hills and painted the sky in soft orange and pink, Danny would sneak to the big oak tree at the edge of the farm. There, under the rustling leaves, he would sing to the moon and the stars, his voice floating through the night like a lullaby. One evening, as Danny sang his sweetest tune, he didn't notice Farmer Joe walking back from the barn. The farmer stopped in his tracks, his mouth dropping open. Who is that?" he whispered. He followed the sound and peeked around the oak tree. There stood Danny, eyes closed, lost in his song. Farmer Joe gasped so loudly that Danny's ears twitched, and he stumbled back in surprise. "Oh no, you heard me?" Danny said, his voice trembling. Farmer Joe chuckled. "Danny, that was the most beautiful sound I've ever heard." Danny kicked the dirt shyly. "You're not laughing at me?" "Laughing?" Farmer Joe shook his head. "Danny, the whole town should hear you." The next morning, Farmer Joe had an idea. He hitched up his wagon and led Danny to the town square, where the people of Willowbrook gathered every weekend for the market. Stalls were filled with fresh bread, jars of honey, and baskets of apples. Children ran through the square, playing games while their parents shopped. Farmer Joe climbed onto the wagon and clapped his hands. "Everyone, gather around. I have a surprise for you." Curious, the townspeople turned to see Danny standing shyly beside the wagon. "A donkey?" someone asked. Farmer Joe smiled. "Not just any donkey, a very special donkey. Go on, Danny, show them." Danny gulped. His hooves felt wobbly and his ears twitched nervously. What if they laughed? What if they didn't like his singing? But then he saw Farmer Joe smiling at him, and he took a deep breath. Closing his eyes, he began to sing. A hush fell over the town square. Shopkeepers left their stalls. The blacksmith put down his hammer. Even the children stopped playing and listened, their eyes wide with wonder. Danny's voice soared through the square like the wind through the trees, warm, gentle, and full of magic. When he finished, there was a long, stunned silence. Then, all at once, the crowd burst into cheers. "That was incredible! I've never heard anything so beautiful! The singing donkey of Willowbrook!" From that day on, Danny became the heart of the town. Every Sunday evening, the people of Willowbrook gathered in the square just to hear him sing. They brought blankets and picnics, sitting under the twinkling stars, listening to the most magical voice in the land. The once sleepy town became full of life and joy. Travelers from other villages came just to hear Danny, and soon Willowbrook was known as the town of the singing donkey. And Danny? He sang not for fame, not for fortune, but because it made the people he loved happy. And that made his voice more magical than ever. The end. So Willowbrook became a town filled with music, laughter, and happiness, all because one little donkey was brave enough to share his special gift. The message of Danny's story is this: never be afraid to be yourself. The things that make you unique are the things that make you wonderful. When you share your gifts with kindness and joy, you make the world a better place. Now close your eyes, dream big, and remember, just like Danny, you have something special inside you too. Good night, sleep tight, and may your dreams be filled with music and magic.